Computer. End program.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most dismal endings in television history.
Don't you mean we did it?
Yeah, but mostly me.
Number 19, Finale, Smallville.
I ask you to remember one thing. Your abilities may be of my blood, but it is your time in Smallville with Jonathan and Martha Kent and all the people there that made you a hero, Colin.
For 10 seasons and 217 episodes, fans of this Superman prequel respected the creator's one strict rule. No tights, no flights. We patiently waited a decade to see Tom Welling finally suit up as the Man of Steel. When the finale arrived, expectations were sky high, but the result was a massive visual cheat. While Clark technically became Superman, the audience barely even saw it. Instead of a glorious full body shot of the actor in the costume, we were given extreme close-ups, distant CGI models, and a cheap shirt rip animation. It felt as though the show was embarrassed by its own source material. After investing 10 years into Clark's journey, refusing to give fans one clear shot of Welling in the iconic suit wasn't just a letdown, it felt like a betrayal. Number 18, The Truth, The X-Files.
Why risk perfect happiness, Mulder? Why risk your lives?
Because I need to know the truth.
The original run of The X-Files ended in perhaps the most bureaucratic way possible. After 9 years of chasing monsters and unraveling government conspiracies, fans were desperate for an epic resolution. Instead, The Truth was a bloated 2-hour lore dump. The writers put Mulder on trial, using the courtroom setting as a flimsy excuse to bring back old characters and replay footage from previous seasons. It functioned as a glorified clip show exactly when the narrative momentum should have been peaking. Rather than a thrilling final chase or alien abduction, viewers were forced to sit through a tedious history lesson. It was a finale bogged down by its own mythology, prioritizing exposition over the excitement that made the show a cultural phenomenon.
And the alien force. And if you and I are powerless now, I want to believe that if we listen.
Number 17, The Last War, The 100.
If you are humanity, then I am afraid humanity is not worthy of taking the next step. It has been decided. You can't place Theodore.
For years, this CW drama was defined by its gritty, do-whatever-it-takes-to-survive morality. However, the final season took a bizarre pivot into fantasy that completely alienated its fanbase. The 100 concluded with the human race transcending into a glowing alien hive mind, a nihilistic twist suggesting that humanity was incapable of redemption. It essentially argued that the only way to save humanity was to stop being human and begin assimilation. To make matters worse, the show brutally killed off fan-favorite Bellamy Blake just episodes prior for practically no reason. The Last War felt like a different show entirely, swapping grounded survival stakes for magical aliens. It was a confusing pivot that left the main character stranded in a finale that satisfied almost no one.
Transcendence is a choice. You can choose to come back. Of course. Though until now, no one ever had.
Number 16, Chapter 73, House of Cards.
It's time for me to treat you all like the adults you are. The truth is, I'm not the only one who's in danger.
Necessary though it was, getting rid of Kevin Spacey was the death knell for House of Cards. The writers faced the impossible task of pivoting the show entirely to Claire Underwood, but no one really wanted that, and the result was a disjointed disaster. The finale felt less like a dramatic climax and more like a show being taken out back and put out of its misery. The plot was convoluted, the pacing was agonizingly sluggish, and the final confrontation with Doug being killed in the Oval Office lacked the strategic brilliance of the earlier seasons. Without the central dynamic between Frank and Claire, the ending rang hollow, leaving unresolved plot holes and a tired fan base that had long since stopped caring about the Underwoods.
It's all right, Doug. Everything's gonna be all right.
Number 15, Till Death Do Us Part, Pretty Little Liars.
They couldn't risk tarnishing their name, so they even took that back. And she was given her birth name.
Alex Drake.
After 7 seasons of drama, texts, and convoluted mysteries, the reveal of AD needed to be a masterpiece. Instead, it was a punchline. The finale unveiled the mastermind as Alex Drake, Spencer's evil British twin sister whom the audience had never even heard of. While the evil twin trope is already bottom-of-the-barrel soap opera writing, pairing it with Troian Bellisario's ridiculous accent turned the thriller into a comedy. It sounded less like a threatening villain and more like a bad Dick Van Dyke impression. For a show that prided itself on intricate clues and audience engagement, this solution felt like a lazy and cheap cheat. We think the writers wrote themselves into a corner and simply pulled a new character out of thin air, having no idea what else to do.
He's settled for Yvonne. We both know that. And now, he's free to be with his one true love. Me.
Number 14. The final problem. Sherlock.
Did you bring it?
Sorry.
My hairband, did you bring it like I asked?
I'm not one of the... I don't work here.
My special hairband.
I'm not one of your doctors.
The one I made you steal from Mummy.
This show began its run as a grounded and brilliant update of the world's greatest detective, relying entirely on observation and deduction. It made you look closer at the world around you. It ended with characters having superpowers. In The Final Problem, the show introduced Sherlock's secret sister, Eurus, a super genius with mind control powers who traps the trio in a dungeon of death games. The episode completely abandoned the logic that made the series a global hit, replacing the clever whodunit tone of the earlier seasons with impossible stakes and goofy set pieces out of a James Bond movie. And that's not even going into the whole secret sister thing, which is barely a step up from the twin trope. It was loud, dumb, and utterly disconnected from the realistic charm of the earlier seasons.
You've still got the gun, haven't you? I told you you'd need it because only 2 can play the next game. Just 2 of you go on from here, your choice. It's make your mind up time. Whose help do you need the most, John or Mycroft? It's an elimination round. You choose one and kill the other.
Number 13. Into That Good Night. Roseanne.
He's still the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing I think about before I go to sleep. I miss him.
The original run of Roseanne is infamous for its bizarre 9th season, where the blue-collar Connors won the lottery and became rich. However, the finale managed to make a bad season even worse. In the closing monologue, Roseanne reveals that she had been writing a book to cope with trauma and that everything in the 9th season was just her imagination. The lottery win was fake, couples were swapped, and most devastatingly, her husband Dan was dead. It was a gut punch that just felt needlessly cruel. By telling the audience that the happy moments they invested in were lies, the show invalidated its own history. The recent revival wisely retconned this disaster, but for decades, this was a bitter pill to swallow.
I learned that God does exist. He and or she is right inside you, underneath the pain, the sorrow, and the shame. I think I'll be a lot better now that this book is done.
Number 12. These Are the Voyages. Star Trek Enterprise.
Is he nervous?
Wouldn't you be?
Oh, he'll be fine. I had to memorize this speech in grammar school.
How do you respectfully end a prequel series? Apparently by turning it into an episode of a completely different show. The finale of Enterprise framed the entire plot as a holodeck simulation being watched by Riker and Troy from the Next Generation. Yes, they unironically did the "it was all a dream" thing. The actual cast of Enterprise were completely stripped of their agency, turned into background NPCs in the misguided attempt at fan service. To add insult to injury, the legendary Trip Tucker was killed off in a meaningless contrived skirmish that served no narrative purpose other than pure shock value. The episode was widely slammed by fans, critics, and even the actors themselves, standing as a disrespectful slap in the face to the cast and the 4 years they spent building the show.
I think I'm ready to talk to Captain Picard. I should have done it a long time ago.
So I guess we're through here.
I guess we are.
Number 11. Hello Losers. Killing Eve.
Jolly good.
This entry remains a sore spot for fans of character-driven drama. For 4 seasons, the electric dynamic between Eve and Villanelle captivated audiences. And in the final moments of the series, the two finally unite, sharing a rare moment of pure earned joy. Then, barely 3 minutes later, the writers ripped it away. Villanelle is unceremoniously shot by a sniper and washes away in the Thames, followed immediately by a flamboyant The End title card. Fans actually thought the show was trolling. It was not. This was a textbook example of the infamous bury your gaze trope, punishing the characters in the exact moment they found happiness. The sudden and bleak conclusion rendered the entire 4-year journey pointless, leaving loyal viewers with nothing but emotional whiplash and a sense of profound disdain. Number 10. The finale, Seinfeld. In theory, bringing back everybody Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer wronged over the years sounded like a fun way to cap off the series.
You're very bad. Very, very, very bad.
Instead of cleverly integrating these characters into a fitting farewell, though, the Seinfeld finale plays out like a glorified clip show. The big trial culminates with our 4 main characters sentenced to a year in prison for their petty, selfish behavior.
You had to hop. You had to hop on the plane!
When you really think about it, however, almost every character in the history of this show was deeply flawed. So, the fate of our protagonists just seems cruel and unearned. Honestly, we would have had more respect for the finale if nothing significant happened to Jerry and the gang.
Haven't we had this conversation before? You think?
That was basically the entire idea behind the series after all. Number 9. Daybreak, Battlestar Galactica. It appeared the Galactica's search for a new home had been in vain when they discovered that the fabled 13th colony, Earth, had been nuked. In the series finale, though, Starbuck inputs mysterious coordinates that transport our heroes to a planet that will one day prosper into the Earth we know. We'll admit that this is kind of a clever twist, but its execution feels like a cheap deus ex machina.
Commercialism, decadence, technology run amok. Remind you of anything?
What's more, the series leaves us with several questions the writers don't even try to resolve. Namely, what the frack was Starbuck supposed to be? One of the finale's most high-profile critics was author George R.R. Martin, who felt the show copped out by simply saying, God did it. Number 8. Mirror Image, Quantum Leap. What makes the Quantum Leap ending so frustrating is that all the pieces were in place for a satisfying conclusion. In Mirror Image, Sam discovers that he has the power to finally make the leap home.
God bless Sam.
When he wrote the episode, though, creator Donald P. Bellisario wasn't sure if the show would be renewed for another season, so he left the finale ambiguous. Instead of seeing Scott Bakula travel back to his own time period, the audience is left with a tacked-on title card saying that he just kept hopping through space-time. For years, there's been talk of a potential Quantum Leap continuation. Until then, the words Dr. Sam Beckett never returned home will remain a bitter blemish on this show's otherwise enjoyable track record.
I know you're out there somewhere, Sam.
Number 7. Of Course He's Dead, 2.5 Men. This sitcom officially jumped the shark after Charlie Sheen left, and had been running on fumes by the time its final season was farted out. As one last middle finger to those who stuck with the series for 12 seasons, the finale continually teased the return of Uncle Charlie. All that build-up led to the ultimate anticlimax, in which an obvious Charlie Sheen body double was crushed by a grand piano. Then, in an even more curious move, co-creator Chuck Lorre was hit with another piano after spouting Sheen's infamous catchphrase.
Winning.
We think this is supposed to be meta humor, but we have no clue what the showrunners were trying to say here. All we know is this finale is anything but a winner.
You're not the only one to point out the illogic.
Number 6. Thank you, True Blood. The last couple seasons of True Blood were rough, but we stuck with the sexy vampire drama to see who ended up with who.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your vampire bride.
The final episode features a wedding between Jessica and Hoyt, who were never exactly anyone's favorite couple. The womanizing Jason sporadically settles down with Hoyt's ex-girlfriend, who had like 5 lines. What about Sookie and Bill? Did they get a happily ever after?
He's sure now.
Nah. Bill, for some reason, decides that he's ready to pass on to the next life, and asks Sookie to stake him. Does that mean Sookie hooks up with Eric instead? Nope. Well, then who does she end up with? Some random guy we never see or learn anything about. Oh, you are dead to us, True Blood. Number 5, the last one, Saint Elsewhere. Although it was far from television's first medical drama, Saint Elsewhere stood out as one of the few to have a refreshing sense of humor. The final episode is a straight-up joke, however. Turns out the storylines that have been unfolding and the characters we've grown to love over the past 6 seasons weren't even real.
He sits there all day long in his own world, staring at that toy.
They were all figments of an autistic child's imagination and exist within the confines of a snow globe. We're not kidding, that's seriously how it ends. This revelation is only made more confusing when you consider that St. Elsewhere had crossovers with shows like Cheers and Homicide: Life on the Street, the latter of which crossed over with several other shows. Is NBC's entire library just in Tommy Westfall's head? Number 4, The End, Lost. This groundbreaking drama created an overarching mystery so complex that not even the writers could solve it. That being said, the finale of Lost was bound to leave us with several unanswered questions. What was the deal with Walt's special abilities? Where did Kristen Shepherd's body end up? Who was Mother? The finale provides no insight into any of that, but the Flash Sideways timeline is given an explanation.
We've been waiting for you.
Turns out the Flash Sideways world is, wait for it, limbo. Wow, who saw that one coming? It's not like people have been predicting since season 1 that Purgatory would play a role. While we'd be lying if we said the finale wasn't without its bittersweet moments, some of these creative choices remain mystifying. Number 3, remember the monsters? Dexter. After 8 seasons of concealing his dark passenger, imagine how fascinating it would have been if mild-mannered Dexter Morgan was publicly outed as a serial killer. Everyone at Miami Metro would have to come to grips with the fact that a stone-cold murderer was right under their noses this whole time. Dexter, meanwhile, would be forced to confront his greatest fear as the monster within was exposed to the world. Well, rather than taking that route, somebody at Showtime apparently said, let's make Dexter a lumberjack. This ending had no build-up and offers no payoff. We don't even get an inner monologue from Dexter. The final shot is just him blankly staring off into space, which is a fitting metaphor for how empty-headed this ending was. Number 2, Last Forever, How I Met Your Mother. We waited several years for this sitcom to introduce the titular mother, but she almost immediately won viewers over, and sparks flew when she met Ted in the finale.
You're Cindy's ex-roommate, right?
Yeah, and you are the professor.
If the series ended there, this finale probably could have avoided a spot on this list. Alas, it's revealed that the story Ted's been telling his children was never about how he met their mother, who's been dead for years, but about how he still had feelings for Robin, despite their toxic past.
Mom's been gone for 6 years now. It's time.
What, I just call her up on the phone and ask her out on a date?
Considering that the last season revolved around Barney and Robin's wedding weekend, and the show is literally called How I Met Your Mother, the audience felt like the rug had been pulled out from under them, and not in a good way. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, The Iron Throne, Game of Thrones. Since the previous episode ended with Daenerys becoming the Mad Queen and burning King's Landing, Game of Thrones needed more than 80 minutes to deal with the ramifications. Rather than giving this epic story the room it needed to breathe, though, the finale shoehorns in a season's worth of plot points.
You are my queen. Now and always.
Dany is killed by the man she loves, Bran is randomly selected as the new king, and Jon Snow's entire character arc is thrown out the window. Everything wrong with this massive letdown of a finale can be summed up in a water bottle the crew accidentally left in a shot. It's so rushed that apparently no one had time to think, hey, maybe we should do another take, or an entire rewrite. Which finales did you despise? Let us know in the comments.